Now let's create a controller. I could call it, let's call it maybe greetings controller, just to keep it short. So we created the greeting controller. So this has the annotation called controller. We also need to do a component for the implementation. We'll do that later. Yeah, up. And so we did that, and now we want to basically have the being set up for this. So let's do the hello greeting service, which can, so we are trying to set up the bean here. So I have that. So let me have the setter for this. So I could do generate and just go in here to the setter for the grid settings. So I've done that, and then now we can have so let's auto wire this to the annotation auto wire to have the dependency injection set up. So so I had a typo here, so I had to have a bracket. For some reason I missed that, so that's the reason why we saw that error. The other thing that we needed to add was that you need a component to scan the packages, and then this profile annotation is what basically will tell the application property which method to call, whether you want to call the implementation for English or if you want the implementation to call for Spanish. So this is something that the power of Spring, where you can set up these profiles to say which particular class should be implemented. So this is a very powerful thing that Spring offers. So the next thing we have to do is go into the demo application to run Spring controller, but before that we need to set up the application context. So we have that, and then the next thing that we need is set up the greeting controller. So I'm just going to look at the controller, and so that's the greeting controller. So let me get the, so we can call it greeting controller, and then controller equals to the context ctx get bean, and then you need to give your greeting controller, but you need to typecast this with greeting controller so that it knows that's what you're referencing to. So this is pretty much what, but we forgot one thing. So we need to go back into the controller, and what method do you want to implement? We don't have any method here. So say I have something like this. So we say hello, and this is it is, what is our service called? Our service is called hello greeting service, right? So hello greeting service, and then the method that we have under hello greeting service is get hello greeting, and it's a string that it's returning, so we are just going to return greeting. So yeah, so that's what we're doing, we're just overriding it. Now if we go back into the demo application, that's what we want to call, right? We want to call controller dot say hello, right? So this is what we want to really call and see how this can be executed. But before that, we also need to look at the resources. There's nothing in resources. So under resources, there's something called application properties. So we have to tell which profile that it has to run, whether it's English or Spanish. So for now, I have set it up for Spanish, and we'll just try to run this and see what happens. So I'm just going to run this now. Let's see what happens. So it's going to initialize Spring Boot, and when it runs, oh, we see an error. No bean named greeting controller. So let's look at this. Oh, so there's a typo. It is greetings controller. And so now let me try running this real quick. Okay, so there we go. We have Ola because our application property is being set as Spanish. Now if I say English, so let's see what happens. So I'm running that real quick. There you go. Hi, how are you? So this is how we can set up your profiles, and then Spring has this ability to just have one service with multiple implementation, and then based on what you want to run, you can control it using the application property. So this is what I've tried to show you. There are a lot of other flavors to Spring. There's one interesting thing that I can show you where I can move this demo application out of this package, and when you try to do a components, it would not pull the package because it's outside this package structure. So how do we fix that? That would be an interesting thing to look at. So we can probably get to that in the next video.